Okay, this lab is going to be our tire patching lab. And so I'm just going to go over the different items we're going to need here. One is the patch itself, right? Front and the backing paper on the back. We're going to need our rubber cement. Okay. We're going to need our stitching. This is called our stitching tool here. We're going to need crayon for marking the area. We're going to need our cleaner for tire buffer and cleaner for cleaning up the section where we buffed our tire. We're going to need our tire buffer. So tire buffer. And that's about it. So the first thing we need to do is mark the area where our hole is. Now my hole is right there. Okay, but that mark's going to go away. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to draw a nice big circle with my crayon around where this is, and I'm going to just mark the outer intersections of where they line up. So it gives me a reference, because this hole right here isn't very big. Okay, so what I want to do, first thing I want to do, is I'm going to make sure I got my safety glasses on. I use this tire buffer because this is very smooth right here. I need to rough this up in order to allow this patch to stick to the inside of my tire. So I'm going to bring in my tire buffer here, get it inside the tire. And I want to take off as much of that surface as possible. I can still feel some there. The other thing I want to do, I've got this line right here as part of the build of the tire. I want to try and get that out. You have to be careful not to, you don't want to dig into the tire where you're actually digging past the rubber into the steel belt, but at the same time, I don't want any obstructions here. So I'm going to go ahead and try and get that off, make it even with the rest of the liner here. That's pretty good. Okay, so that's step one is step one is to mark it. Okay, step two is to buff this area. Step number three is to clean this with our liquid tire buffer and cleaner. So I'm going to take some of this and put it on this tire buffer cleaner, put it on a rag. Let's put some on. You don't need a whole lot. That's probably good. And what I'm going to do is now wipe this area where I just buffed this. You can see you get a bunch of rubber coming off of there, so just flip it around to the other side and wipe. Then what I would do is take one dry part of the towel and just wipe it off. And that'll get anything else loose that's off. And it should feel a little bit sticky compared to the rest. It's just real smooth. It should be sticky. So that was step number three. Step number four, I want to take some of my glue. Okay, take some of your rubber cement. And I don't need a lot of this. I'm going to brush one side of the brush off of here. And then I'm just going to paint this in here. Go across like this. And I want this a little bit bigger, paint a bigger area than the patch that I have. So my patch is about 2.5 inches. So I want to paint about a 4-inch wide 4x4 square here. Just paint that in. Get that all over there. Okay. Now that's going to take about 2 minutes to to set up. We want it to actually cure a little bit. If this is wet, okay, the patch isn't going to stick to this. It needs to be tacky before we can actually put the patch on. So while it's getting tacky, let's talk about our patch. This is the top. It's got this kind of plastic coating on the top. This is our backing paper. So what I want to do is make sure I don't touch the back of the patch with my hand as much as I can. And what I'm going to do is just kind of peel this back. And what I want, it doesn't matter really. This one's cut pretty much in the center, so it really doesn't matter what side I start with. If you have one that's kind of cut more to the side, I would start with the smaller side, but in this case it doesn't matter. So I'm going to try and be careful not to touch the back of the patch, because if I do, I'll get this oil from my fingers on here and I start touching this, that's going to compromise how well this sticks to our area we're trying to repair. So once we have this, I'm going to spend about a minute. So I'm going to check this, and it should be tacky to the touch. If it's wet, that's not good, but if it's tacky, that's what we want. So the other part, the reason I put these marks here is because I can hardly see where my hole went. Sometimes that'll be the case. It's a very, very small hole. So, but now with the lines here, I can kind of look at and see where that's at. So again, I don't want to touch this part. I'm just going to kind of center it. I'm going to lay this in, and just with my finger, I'm going to rub that side down, pull the other side back, and pull off the backing paper on this side. Okay, and just kind of rub that down with my finger. Okay. Next, take our stitching tool. And what you want to do is start in the middle here. And it doesn't matter which way you go. If you want to go horizontal or vertical, it doesn't matter how you start. We'll start vertical, and I'm going to start in the center. And I'm going to work my way from the center all the way top and bottom of the patch and all the way to the outside until I'm actually off the patch. You can see I'm not even on contact with the patch here anymore. Okay? And then I'm going to go back in the center, and I'm going to keep going all the way across, all the way to the left side. And then I'm going to do this perpendicular. I'm going to start in the middle again, go across, and I'll go to the left. And I'm going to go across in the middle again. I'm going to go to the right. And this is going to make sure the patch is making good contact all the way across. Okay, that we are applying equal pressure all the way across the patch. It's going to stick. So we've done this once. So I'm going to do this one more time. So we're going to do this 2 times. We're going to go up. I'll go this way. I'll go this way. And then I'm going to go perpendicular again. I'm going to come up to the left. And I'm going to go down to the right. All the way across, all the way off the patch. And that's good. Now, at this point, you want to stop. You want to come get a foreman or myself. And what we'll do is, we've got this little plastic wrapper on top of this. And you can see it's all chewed up now. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a little incision there, just to kind of break that off. And if I did this correctly, when I pull this off, I'm going to pull it from the inside to the outside, and it'll tear. I want to make sure that as I tear this off, it stays stuck all the way around. I don't want circle doesn't have an edge, but I don't want any of this circle, any part of the circle to pull up when I pull my backing paper off. And if it doesn't pull up, we're good, and this is ready to go back on a wheel and be mounted if we're actually doing this for real. But in this case, once you've got that done and your foreman sees it or I see it, you're done with this task. If, though, this pulls up, you have to do this all over again. Take off the patch, rebuff it, clean it, wipe it down, apply the glue, start all over. So make sure you go with all those steps that we talked about. Mark it, buff it, clean it, apply the glue, apply it, and then apply your patch. Okay? And that'll be it for this lap.